I would call the meeting to order. Mike, can you call roll?
Mr. Benford. Mr. Essenpler. Here. Ms. Hogue.
Here.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Here.
Ms. Paoli. Mr. Seidel. Here. Vice President O'Gurl.
Here.
President Crooked.
Here. Please stand for the pledge. Mike, can you read the statement concerning open public meetings?
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been given by the Superintendent of Schools in the following manner. On January 15th, 2021, notice of this meeting was posted on the interior of the school administration offices, 1 Lincoln Avenue, Haddonfield. Written notice was submitted and filed with the Haddonfield Borough Clerk, and notices were faxed to the curb post and mailed to the Retrospect newspaper.
As many of you know, we've lost a member of our board, Adam Sangelo, this week, so we are going to run our meeting a little differently. We're just going to do the items that need approval, and then we're going to go into the items for board information, and then we'll have the open public talk. So, okay, so items for approval, governance.
I think we have to read it for approval.
Oh, I do need to read it for approval? That's okay.
We need to read it for approval, or can you just say governance?
Should we be on the safe side and read? Do you read it? Okay.
We don't care what we do.
Yeah, I'll read
I'm
it.
not going to go to the Public Meetings Act jail.
Yeah. No, we'll follow it.
Well, you can probably just say, not read every specific detail, just go through each letter and say.
Okay. So, monthly HIV, policies for their second reading and adoption, and approval to change the job title description from meth interventionalist to not specialist. Comments? So Mike, can you call roll?
Motion.
Oh, motion, sorry, this is
One
not
motion.
gonna be my business. No. Yep. Now we discuss, sorry. Okay, now Mike can call roll.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Approved.
Mr. Seidel. Yes. Vice President O'Gurl.
Yes.
Mr. Essenpler. Yes. Ms. Hogue.
Yes.
President Crooked.
Yes. Okay, curriculum and special education. Resolution to approve Dr. Gandhi, resolution between Gloucester County Special Services Commission and the Haddonfield Board of Ed, the physical therapist. Resolution between Walsh Legacy and the Board of Ed to provide home instruction. Resolution for employees for home instruction. Approval for employees for home instruction for a student. And approval of Christina Parody for 30 minutes of supplemental instruction for a student. Approval for Emily Pizzoli and Lauren Dorfman to administer beginning of the year assessments. Can I have a motion? Motion. So Heather and Dave. Linda? This one's gonna be. Okay, any comments? Mike, should we call roll?
Well, first is Heather.
Curriculum and special ed.
You want me to vote on that?
It's up to you.
If you want to.
It's okay.
So Ms. Paoli, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Seidel. Yes. Vice President O'Gurl.
Yes.
Mr. Essenpler. Yes. Ms. Hogue.
Yes.
Ms. Hollingworth. President Crooked.
Yes. Okay, personnel, approval of new personnel. Approval for Amy Heslin to teach 3 supplemental reading groups. Approval for employees to receive compensation for planning time. And resolution to provide staff for working the COVID vaccination clinic. Can I have a motion?
All seconds.
And May. Oh, okay, no. Any discussion?
I do have a question, so, when, or this might be for Mike, when the funding source is from the CARES Act, are we still required to follow the, contracted curriculum rate? Or the contracted rate, not curriculum rate, but the,
Yeah, I believe so. I think that's, whether or not we're required to, I think that would be good practice.
sure, okay.
Hey, Mark, can you call roll?
Mr. Seidel.
Yes.
Vice President Hoagland.
Yes.
Mr. Essenpler.
Yes.
Ms. Hoag.
Yes.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Yes.
Ms. Paoli.
Yes.
President Crooked.
Yes. Okay, approval of business and finance recommendations, tuition reimbursement, to approve Land Associates as our district architect of record, payment of bills, budget transfers, board secretary report, cash summary report. Motion,
Food.
Heather,
Second.
and Will. Any discussion? And Mike, can you call roll?
Vice President Hoagland.
Yes.
Mr. Essenpler.
Yes.
Ms. Hoag.
Yes.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Yes.
Ms. Paoli.
Yes.
Mr. Seidel.
Only because I didn't look at the payment of bills, yes, except for C, I'll abstain, I'm not sure, so I'll abstain just in case.
President Crooked.
Yes. Okay, approval of the following minutes from October 28th, the executive and regular session. Motion, Dave?
I'll move it.
and Heather? Okay, Mike, can you call?
Mr. Essenpler.
Yes.
Ms. Hoag.
Yes.
Ms. Hollingworth.
Yes.
Ms. Paoli.
Yes.
Mr. Seidel.
Yes.
Vice President Hoagland.
Yes.
President Crooked.
Okay, well, we're gonna go
Do
into.
you want to speak first, or you want me to speak first? We said we were planning.
We
on it.
did,
must
we
have-
did, and we did.
must have waited to
Yeah,
talk.
we, absolutely. Why don't you can go first?
Okay, thank you. I'm first gonna ask, it's a quiet room already, but to have a moment of silence for Adam, so we just, get our heads, get our thoughts. Everyone can pose and. Thank you. What strikes me is we're having a moment of silence for Adam. There's children outside playing, having fun, which is probably exactly what he would want. I will speak to my experience with Adam, and I think that Virginia's talk about hers. One of other board members talk a little bit. I'm a relatively newcomer to Adam's world. I met him a couple years ago. I was principal of high school. When he first was on the board, he came and he sat down in the office. I don't even know what happens here. I've never been in this building before, so I spent time with him. We toured the building, we talked about things, I talked about some of my passions with kids I was trying to reach and how tough it is for this list. So there's kids who do well because they come to school, they do their homework, but don't really strive who we wanted to be. They stole that, they kept using it over and over, again, because of his passion. But you know, in the short 4 years or so since I've known him, he's been a huge influence on my life, as he does with many of us, that's why we're here today. I am sitting in this seat because of Adam Frangillo, and I think there are people at this table who say the same exact thing. We're sitting in this seat because of him. He became a very dear friend, and he's sorely missed. And the consolation I take in this is, I have in my head a board, not this board, as you guys are in my head, now a board of people I go to when I have difficult decisions. They're important people in my life. My father, my college coach, there's a group of people, some alive, some not alive. And Adam's on that board now. So forever, when I'm sitting in my office or walking my dog or whatever's happening, I'm going to have those decisions to make. I'm going to have Adam's voice in my head. And he's very different than the other voices I have in my head. He's a very unique personality. and would say things to me that I don't know what other people would say to me. And so I'm honored to have known him. I'm going to miss him dearly. And the fact that I have him locked up in here now, and I'll be asking him, what should I do with this parent? How should I handle this question? What kind of beer should I order tonight? Whatever it is. I'm honored to have him there, and I'll forever treasure that. And I will forever treasure the time I spent with him, and miss the times I'm not going to be able to spend with him. So.
Okay, I'll go next, and I was gonna go at the end of everyone, but if that's okay.
That's fine.
I always think, like, one of the things they say about losing someone is that when you lose someone you're close to, you also lose a part of yourself. And I feel like that's so true with Adam, because he was just the type of person who was open and brought out the best in you. And I really liked who I was when I was with him. And I think he made me a better person. He made me question things. He challenged me. And he was funny and made me see the funny things and things that I didn't think were very funny. And I think about how when I was driving today, and even when taking over and trying to move into his role and seeking his guidance, and how supportive he was, and how challenging this is, and how the first person I thought of, like, all I could think about in thinking about tonight was, I would call Adam and be like, well, what should I say? And he would make me feel so much better about it, and I would really have felt prepared, and I probably would have taken better notes so I knew what to say next, because I knew I'd be nervous. And I just don't want to, I think about, in memory of him, one thing I think, and a reason why he's been so influential to so many of us, is he brought out the best in so many people. And in his memory, I know I want to keep that part of me that he brought out, and carry that with me. And I think it makes me a better person. And I'm very grateful for having had him as a friend and a mentor. And will be so deeply missed. But I also can't think of many people who have made such a tremendous impact on their such short years on this earth, and especially in this community. So I'm grateful for all he's brought to us and to me personally.
So,
And
Go ahead, yes.
to get through it. I know not everyone believes in this type of thing, but there are two things within the past 2 days that have happened, two signs that I am so absolutely certain that Adam is here with us. One of them was yesterday. I was thinking about, what am I going to say tonight? And I was going through my work email, not my board email, my work email, and searching for something completely unrelated. And an email from Adam from 2 years ago popped up. And the message in the email said, I hear you loud and clear, and I share your optimism. And it was so bizarrely unrelated that I knew what I had to talk about tonight. While I don't possess Adam's charm and charisma, and I think we all know that's who he was, I do share his optimism, and I do share his passion for this school district and for the kids in it. And he used to talk to me about good is the enemy of great. And Adam would talk about, and we all know how fortunate we are to live in this community, to belong to such an amazing school district. But Adam's vision was to take us from this really good school district and move us to greatness. I believe we can get there. That's the path that he started down. And Chuck was right when he said that there are people at this table that wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Adam. So when his health started to rapidly decline, we had discussion. And very often people say, is there anything I can do? And you say it because you want to be supportive, but there's nothing you can do. And I said to him, there is one thing I can do for you. And that is to stay on the path that you started. And to not let your work be in vain. So we who sit at this table sometimes have to make difficult decisions and unpopular decisions, but those decisions are to take us from good to great. And I think that what we can do as board members to honor Adam is to just keep in mind what the vision is and to not let his work go in vain, for us to stay on the path that he started. He will be so sorely missed in this statement.
I've been trying to remember exactly how I first met Adam. I'm quite sure that I was walking by his house and he stopped me and introduced himself. And I'm pretty certain we became friends during that first conversation, because that's how Adam operated. We didn't do small talk. He genuinely wanted to know everyone and really know you. Your stories, your goals, your fears, your opinions, even if, especially if they differed from his. And that's what made him not just the best kind of friend, but a skilled leader. He sought understanding and connection in each conversation, and he wanted to do what was right, especially for our kids. There are a few things I know about Adam with certainty. He was absolutely committed to his work for the district. He had a steadfast faith in our mission and had such trust in this administration, our teachers, our community, and our kids. Even when things got really hard, with controversy or criticism over decisions made, or with struggles with his health, he never considered walking away. The work was too important, and he loved it until the very end. He loved his friends and his relationships, and he made the most of every single moment. And above all, he loved his family, Jen and Caroline, Holly, Hadley, and Bennett. We're so sorry. I feel so lucky to have known Adam and to have been his friend, and he'll be forever missed and always remembered.
Anyone else want to speak before we go to public comment?
Sure. That's bullshit. He started a conversation. He started a conversation with me where he wanted to challenge, where he wanted to debate something. That's how he started. I knew where he stood. If I didn't agree with him, and that's how he started it. That's where he'd go. But that was Adam, right? So as most people said, he didn't feel like talking small. He talked big ideas, big personality. And so you had to have a big personality to really kind of go with him. And his sense of service was really strong. I mean, it wasn't just his time on the board. He was a person who, he saw a need, he saw a hole, he just stepped up. He was probably the youngest person on the board, not in age, but in time of service. And when the former president, Glenmore Marcus, was stepping down, I was like, okay, with the hole, it needs filling. And he jumped right in because he had ideas. He knew how to say no. I think, they learned that a long time before that. But he didn't say no and then I don't want to hear it. He came to no after listening and talking to people if it was a no. If it was a yes, he was happy for it to be a yes. But he really did give a lot of thought. But when it comes to kind of see a legacy of service, just understand there are lots of nights you could be sitting up there And while he's talking, while he's genuinely listening, he's sitting out there counting out bills. And then he'd say, oh, you know, I just want to stretch my legs, and he'd be going over there to take them. Or to like grab a bite of an apple because he knew at this time of day, he had to take a bite of something, he had to eat. And, you know, I would say, hey, Adam, come on, man. Your health is more important than this. He goes, no, it's not. This is the most important thing. And the thing that's really frustrating to me was, he had a lot of lofty goals, but he had some really simple personal goals. And his one personal goal when I said, Adam, why? Why are you still going? And he said, I got a goal. I want to hand my kid a diploma. And he didn't get to do that. And that's bullshit.
Anyone else want to speak, or we can open up to public comment?
I'm David Hunter. I met Adam in 2009 when he was sponsored for membership of the Rotary Club. And so I'm here tonight, partly for myself and partly on behalf of the Rotary Club. Adam, very quickly after becoming a member, became the director of the membership, which is a pretty important job. And he did it very well, as you can imagine. In each of the 4 years that he served as director of membership, he was instrumental in bringing in a number of new members to the club. Typically, someone who's director of membership might go on to higher office. That didn't happen in Adam's case because he decided that he had bigger fish to fry. And he fried them pretty well, as we've all been hearing. The motto for Rotary is service above self. And I challenge you to think of anybody who lived the Rotary motto better than Adam St. Philip. In the last year, I've lost 4 people who were very close to me. One of them you knew pretty well, some of you was Bill Reynolds, former mayor of this town. His father is on the wall over there. Another one was a Dutch architect who was very influential in my early career. Another one was my business partner of 10 years in Australia. Another one was my mother, who died at age 100 last December. And I don't have any trouble putting Adam with that company. I want to compliment Chuck on the note that he sent out to the community yesterday. I've done a lot of writing in my life. I couldn't have written that as well as he wrote that. That was a beautiful way of letting us know, firstly, what had happened, and secondly, why it was significant. And so thinking recently, if I were to write Adam Sandler's biography, I think I'd title it Profiling Courage. Look back on the last however many years. Can you think of a more courageous person who had every reason to curl up and disappear into his bedroom? But he didn't do that. He worked even harder to try to achieve the kinds of things that he felt were important to him. My wife and I spent about an hour with him a few weeks ago on his porch. And if you hadn't known what Adam's situation was, you would have just taken it in stride, because he was so positive and so upbeat. And I would like to think that if ever I find myself in that situation, I will conduct myself in a similar way. What an example to have there with those four other people who were so important to me, who are no longer with us. And just before I came, I dug this out and I thought I'd read it because it makes sense to me and maybe it'll make sense to you. It was written by Quaker missionary in the 1800s, Stephen Crowley. He said, "I shall pass this way but once. Any good that I can do, or any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again." Adam could have written that. Thank you.
But you prefer to drive. You had this whole routine worked out. We were gonna come up here, we're gonna do this, make a sell thing, and it's gonna be funny. A couple of months ago, while being showered with compliments, Adam flashed that signature charm and said I should resign more often. Oh, Adam, I hope you're listening now. He faded out of the public view and relaxed a little bit. I was lucky enough to spend some time with him in between then and now, in what seems to have flashed by in seconds and not months. We talked a lot about what was ahead of him, and he talked a lot about what was ahead for the district. He never stopped. He loved this town, he loved the people, and he loved the schools. He never stopped giving that love. Not now. But then, folks on the other side. Sorry. Folks on the other side of an argument with him might have said that maybe he loved it a little too much. That was just his style. And if you were on the other end of that, be aware that it was always business, never personal. To steal a line from his favorite movie. So what do we do now? Many of the people in this room will remember him every time we sit down for a good meal, a glass of wine, or a baseball game. I told him 10 days ago that he was so loved by so many. and how he had impacted so many that he didn't even know yet, and that don't know who he is. What we do know, what we do about that, what do we do about that? Despite this appropriately being a non-action meeting, I humbly request that you act for Adam so his legacy of care and service is never forgotten. We've talked a lot over the years about naming rights for contributions. Quite honestly, I've thought contributions for a scoreboard have been a good idea. But we'll always have access to money. It may be tough to find. We have to look under many rocks, and tough decisions have to be made. What we actually should worry about is the absence of the type of leadership and service that Adam possessed. We should memorialize that mission and his drive appropriately so we're all reminded and inspired to serve our community. Without Adam, some of us will be lost for a while. We will support each other and feel better eventually. But without more Adams, our community will be lost. We owe it to him to memorialize that example as much as we are memorializing him today. As a side note, if you elect a bust or a statue, I would recommend something that captures that crooked smile and a good pair of aviators. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for carrying on Adam's mission. I would be happy to carry the torch for this effort, and I'm at your disposal. I miss my friend. The only thing I can think to do to get this pit out of my stomach is serve. Thank you.
I guess I can be formal for past 308 Redmond. I'll do what David did, stand over here and just say that I was more of an acquaintance of Adam than a close friend, and I envy your close friendship and your close ties with him. And I was one who walked towards them on a couple issues, and I appreciated that he would listen, and he would be forceful and strong, and like I said, maybe loving down too much in a way that it's hard for me to accept sometimes, but I can see his dedication and his courage, his love for the community. So this last gentleman who spoke talked about a dedication, and as I was walking here from work, and I kind of envisioned Adam's quirky smile and saying, "Come on, Herb, hurry up, you're gonna miss my memorial at this kid board meeting." I could hear him saying, "This really sucks. I need to be alive." But I have a legacy in this town. I went to this high school, went to the Lizzie Haddon Elementary School, and when my brother and sisters went here, there was an A building and a B building, and then when I got here, there was a C building. How unimaginative those names are, A, B, and C. So I thought it would be not just a bust or a statue or a painting. We know that there's a need for a renovation of these facilities coming down the pike. And as much as I may have locked horns with that from time to time, I certainly would say, consider naming a building. And that might be something that is not only his family could be proud of as they go through the school system and graduate, but it could be a visible reminder for the board and for the community as well. So I'll certainly miss seeing him out on the playgrounds and the fields and the areas where the kids would all mingle together. And I know all of you are touched in your heart, so I share my condolences to everybody on the board and all his friends too.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Sweeney. This is Rachel Gu. We are the HEA co-presidents, and just wanted to speak real quickly about Adam. We were on the receiving end of those head-to-head discussions, we'll call them disagreements, but like Tom said, it was never personal, and we knew that, and we knew that after we were done arguing, we could go have a beer 20 minutes later, and everything was as it should be. So. Rachel, I wanted to take a moment to recognize and appreciate all that Adam has done here in the Haddonfield School District. In a time where volunteers are often hard to come by, and we see many of the same faces volunteering in multiple organizations, Adam was one of the faces we got used to seeing in many places. That spoke to who Adam was. He spent countless hours at board meetings, committee meetings, negotiation sessions, and an untold number of district meetings trying to help the youth of this community. That's who Adam was. It was time taken from his family, which he knew he'd never get back, but was doing it for the benefit and gain of every student attending Haddonfield schools. That's what Adam was. In a time in the world where more and more people have unfortunately become more selfish, Adam remained selfless and continued to give of himself to this community, even to the very end. Why? Because that's who Adam was. Adam took questions at board meetings and often tried to answer people's questions right on the spot, despite knowing he wasn't supposed to, because he felt like the people asking the question deserve answers, since they took the time to listen, watch, or attend the board meeting. That, too, speaks to who Adam was. Those are just a few examples that illustrate who Adam was and how he gave so much of himself to this town and community. But Adam is, and always will be, someone who people will look to as an example of how to do for your community. He will be remembered as a dad, a neighbor, a friend, colleague, a leader, and the list goes on. So, on behalf of all the teachers and staff, we want to thank Adam. We'll miss him, and screw cancer.
Tracy Retozo, the middle school principal, and speaking on behalf of the administrators. And I'd like to share deepest condolences with all of you. You are in our hearts. One of the things that Adam shared with me in a moment in my office in the spring, he had given me some unsolicited advice. He told me to learn better not to bury the lead. That sometimes I spend too much talking until I get to the point. And the point tonight is that Adam knew us as administrators individually. He spoke to us as people, and he led us from his heart. And I know that that'll continue with all of you, and that those values are imparted upon all of us, and will continue his legacy. One of the last things I had shared with him is a text that we would take care of his 4 children. We have 2, and Tammy has 2, and all together, that'll be our continued focus, and not just the San Diego children, but all children, because that's what Adam wanted us to do. So on behalf of all the administrators, please know how sorry we are, but we'll continue his legacy and focus on taking care of our children.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Dixie Hughes, and I wish I remembered something because you don't know I'm a crier, and but I do remember the first time I met Adam. I actually was standing right here, and we were in a contentious negotiations. And I said that teachers didn't feel supported, and I was standing here, and I remember saying that, and this is the place where I'm homegrown as a student teacher here, and he didn't let me walk away from that podium. He engaged me. I don't remember the question he asked me, but I was thrown because in that moment, he immediately offered me support. And then in every interaction after that, Adam always made me feel supported. And Adam made me feel like the teacher of the year before I was ever recognized by anyone else in this district or in this community, in this state. Adam showed up. And what I mean by that is that I was questioned in this building, he's showing classroom, he made himself known. And when I asked for Adam's help with this crazy project that my students and I wanted to take on, he was all in. And I called him and told him that we were going to advocate for a man in a faraway village on the border of South Sudan. And he was, how can I help? You're crazy, but how can I help? And he was one of the first people who donated to that cause and rallied behind it. And he made my students feel like game changers, that they could change the world. And I'd like to read something from my students. The following is from Kathleen Lee, Natalie Nadekia, Moji Sheep, Layden A, and Yao Yu. We were invited to present to the board after the board approved that we could, or supported that we could go to Atlanta and meet President Carter. And Kathleen and the team, right? We want to thank Adam for his kindness and support, not just for Greg, but for all of the students at Haddonfield. And for him and his family to know that he truly made a difference. That the fact that even years after our graduating, we still recognize him and know him because of all he's done and how he came out to connect with the students and to hear what he had to say and support his goals. He will never be forgotten, especially by the students. I think that's really powerful, how many Board of Education presidents say that students will never forget him. And Adam has always made himself really known and present. And in my life, whether it was showing up with the mayor in the back of my wedding ceremony, or letting me know when he would see a Shakespeare quote that he was thinking of. And during his treatment, it's no secret that cancer has touched my life at a very young age, the loss of my friend, and that we had connected because of that work. I texted him with a Shakespeare quote. I always felt really strongly about this connection. And the quote is, "Bid me run, and I will strive with things impossible." And I'm really resentful that he couldn't beat this impossible. Because people like Adam Sanchillo are the leaders we need in communities and education, and I deeply admire him and his work. And I will always carry him with me in my heart and my work as an educator. So thank you so much for this time. I know I really needed it. I know a lot of other people do too.
I do slide stand two. Stacy Down, former president, co-president of the union, current community events chair. And Adam and I shared our big love for Christmas. And one of the ways we connected early on was we were having one of those early negotiations, phone calls, and I just happened to be at my husband's studio recording a Christmas song. We started talking about how to do this charity show every year for a friend that passed away from cancer that supports his organization, his support group. And slowly we had this conversation and he goes, "What's the name of the cancer your friend had?" And I asked my husband and he told me this gist and he goes, "This is really weird, but that's what I have," right? And so all these years, 20 years we've been doing this charity show, we had this serendipitous connection that the money that we've been donating all those years was going to fund this life rep support group. The Christmas show was started by a friend of ours who passed away before the medicine that Adam was taking was even made. And so that year, I write a Christmas song every year, so weird little hobby, I recorded it, and I wrote it for Adam. And it's called Really Light, and there's the specific part of the song that was to him. He always signed his emails warmly. And so even if we were having these, contentious, we managed to settle one of the best contracts we'd ever had the first year, and this one was even better under all of your tutelage. So we truly appreciate not just hearing that we're valued, but showing. And so the lines from the song were, "Don't dim the light, don't dim the fire, don't waste the light, stay warm but fight. You're strong, but it's all right to wish upon a star tonight." Because I knew that he was holding out that something else would come along, right? Not over till it's over is the chorus. Not broken till it breaks. So speaking of signs, on my way over here, for releasing the Christmas album in its entirety. It's all kind of bits and pieces on compilations now on Wednesday, and so I was listening to the mixes in this one platform, and out of nowhere, iTunes took over and started playing that song. I was like, okay, and that's the favorite, it's your favorite, right? And not, and I just thought, of course, you want me to play that song on repeat all the way. So, but then that was the kind of person he was, I was green, I didn't plan to become union president. I took it on at a time of great upheaval. He was the president of great upheaval, and we went to him in a way that normally you don't need to go to your board, because the district was in such need of a leader. And he came in, and now look where we are, with all this amazing leadership and so much growth in such a short time. So he will be sorely missed, but we have also many wonderful things that we take from him and carry forward. So we're here to support Tom in his mission of honoring Adam. We can use some of our prize money to find a way to show our love of him as well, to carry through in our hearts. So.
I met Adam in 2013 at a Rotary Club cocktail party, and he came up to me and he already knew everything about me. And it was just automatic that there wasn't a question, we were going to be friends. And I was delighted when he decided to run for the school board, and he told me that he was going to rely on me to be his consigliere. And there was a period of time in 2018 where Adam and I talked every single day. And he became like a brother to me because the only other person that can aggravate me as much as Adam is my brother. And, being debated, picked things apart, tested different angles, understood that when we were talking to each other and debating and arguing, that we were in a safe space with each other. And I think that through that, we both became better board members. And I appreciated that about him. But God, he really drove me crazy so many times because I didn't always want to argue. I just really appreciate you doing this tonight, because this is the right place for me to honor him. So thank you.
Matt Ritter, 227 Chestnut Street. Jamie, Linda, Chuck, members of the board, thank you. Thank you for doing this tonight. It is appreciated. It is needed, desperately. Tell you what, there's not much left to be said, but yet there still seems like there should be so much more to be said, and we all know that there is. But if you're going to distill this down, here's some common themes that everyone here, including myself, are going to talk about tonight. His passion, his leadership, his uncanny ability to work both sides, and yet knuckle grinding arguments and debates, and yet somehow you walked away really liking the guy. And who else can you say that about? There's very few people on that list, I'm certain, but Sangillo is at the top of that list. And I, like many here tonight, I'm also very moved by your comments in wanting to honor Adam, continue his path, his mission with this same passion, because
from what I heard tonight, all that do want to do this in Adam's honor and memory, this district, this town is in really good hands. If we do this, if we all do this, and really live by our words tonight, that Adam, we are going to honor you. Make no mistake. We will not let you down. You will not be forgotten. Your mission will not be forgotten. Holy cow. I probably have more optimism right now for this district and this community than ever before. And when I served on the board, I was very optimistic about our future. But now certainly more than ever, because of the leadership in this room and how that's going to permeate through our community. I know that it will with all of you, and myself included. And like all of you, at work these past few days, and some work colleagues who knew that I was serving on the board came up to me and were talking about Adam, and certainly sorry for our loss. And then you just get in this rabbit hole telling tales about Adam and his love, leadership, and his bullshit. And that was very well put. And then I started going back to some old text messages. If you want to laugh, if you want to smile, that's right. I was just going to say that, Tom. Never delete these messages. I was here every night just shaking, chuckling, because you can hear Adam's voice. You can see that sideways smile. And sometimes, that sparkle in his eye, but also that sometimes that evil little squint, all meant in good faith and good effort. And I don't think he knew any strangers. And he would absolutely love this. And one thing about Adam Sangillo that he put others first, as was been said. Adam never had a bad day until Monday, November 15th. That guy always had a smile and would always be there for anyone and make you laugh yourself and smile. He cared deeply. And was never one to complain. But he just, never had a bad day till Monday. Thanks for doing this. Thank you for your leadership, especially these past couple of years with everything going on. And please continue, as I know that you will, to lead with his passion. Those are big shoes to fill, but you all are capable. And for that, we are, as a parent of a student, like everyone here, we are grateful. So thanks.
Anyone else like to speak before we close public comments? I just want to close by saying thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight, and for those of you who are tuning in. It's a testament to how much of an influence Adam has had on this community and the school district and all of us. I also want to extend our deepest condolences to Adam's family, that our thoughts are with them at this time. Jen, Caroline, Holly, Bennett, that we're thinking of you, and their loss is even greater than ours. So I just want them to know that we're thinking of them at this difficult time. Did you read it? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So,
Dave, Heather.